Hi, good morning. I'm Ruth with Quality Sewing and Vacuum. I'm the manager of the Tukwila location. Today I'm here to talk to you about Applique. Nobody likes to use a rotary cutter. It gets away from you and all things can happen. So today I'd like to talk to you about the Applique and all the different cubes you can use, the dies you can use. They're just amazing. You can do 6 layers of fabric through the die, which I right now have a die set up to go through that has 6 layers in it. You can do strip cutters, you can do blocks, you can do applique. It is endless. Some of my favorite dies are, I do burp rags for all my family that actually are having children. So my favorite one is the burp rag die. So when you're here, I kind of just touch it so that it takes all the static away. And then voila, I have 2.5-inch strips for binding, sashing, whatever. It's just great. But like I was telling you, one of my favorite ones is the burp rag. I make it for all my family. You can make burp rags. You can make a hot pad. You can make all kinds of things. You could actually even make this for your couch to put maybe your remotes or whatever, your cell phone in there. All kinds of things with that. You can make different dies. Add different dies together and make different blocks. I believe it's like 172 different blocks that you can do with all the cubes and all the accessories. And I have a ton of different samples up here on the wall. They're amazing. You could literally take some of the cubes, you could do a 4 and an 8 and make a 12-inch block. You can mix and match all you want. They're great. They're great. So, like I said, it's just endless.
So Ruth, what is the cutter that you're using?
This is the Applique Go Electric. It is the largest one. It does 14 inches. So you can do great big dies like this over here. Or you can do small ones like these here. So you can also do a manual rather than electric, but then you're gonna actually use your hand to crank. There's also a Go Baby, which is small, that does the small blocks or small strips. So all different varieties from starting to going big.
And do all of them cut through 6 layers of fabric?
Yes, all of them cut through 6 layers of fabric. So yes. The one thing that I want to say is when customers come in, the first question they ask is, what cube do you have? And it's easier to say, what cube don't I have? Because I can mix and match. I've had several. They also do custom dies. I've had some custom dies made, which the burp rag was actually one that I had custom dyed years before it had actually come out. So it is literally endless on what you can do with this stuff.
So how does it work? It looks like there's 2 pieces that go with it.
So you have the cutter. You have the cutter, and then you put your fabric on here, and then you put your mat that protects your die, and then you just let it go through. So yes. Any other questions?
Not yet.
Okay. So the other thing that it does do is it does cut off the dog ears, so you don't have the bulk when you're sewing together. So that makes it a lot easier and a lot nicer. It is cut, so you use a 1/4 inch for your seam guides, and they come out perfect. You will notice on this how the corners match together. So there's no thinking about using these dies. Anything else?
So Rose Ellen said that she notices that the plastic cover, when she removes it clockwise, it releases better.
Possibly. It literally gets static when you put it through. So that's why I kind of rub my hands on it. So it does destatics the fabric and the mat. So you can do that, but that's what I do, and I seem to not have a problem with that.
So Mary asked, if you're going to be using little scraps, how do you tell where this is straight of grain? Does starch help?
Starch does, a light starch does help, yes. So you can definitely do that. That makes it much easier, and you have less fraying as well if you use a little bit of starch.
Okay, Natalie asks, she's new to this. Do you wash and iron your fabric before cutting?
I don't. I'm sure some people do. I don't, but if you wash your fabric in all the material that you're using in your project, you're gonna wanna wash all of it. You either wash it all or you don't wash it all. I don't necessarily wash and press beforehand. I do press, but I don't wash. Okay. All right.
So how would you use this in applique? Is this just for quilting?
Great question. Applique, this actually has applique on it. So you can take flowers, hearts. I'm just gonna grab this. Flowers. Oh, wrong one. I have this where you can just applique on. You just use whatever pieces you want. This here, we sewed on and just put a nice little X. You can't, and it doesn't have anything underneath it. You could put applique wonder or something like that on there, and then sew around the edges. Lots of different shapes that you can use for applique.
So if you're going to be using a fusible with your applique, can you cut fewer layers with that?
Correct. You would count that as at least a layer. Depending on what stabilizer you use, you will at least count it as one layer. So yes, that is correct.
Okay, and Carol wants to know, does the cutter cut into the plastic over the fabric? Does it ever cut all the way through?
Over time it can. If you use it enough, you will see that it has grooves and you can feel those grooves. But if you flip and turn all the time, it will go for thousands of cuts. So unless it actually goes and cuts all the way through, you shouldn't have to replace it that often.
Awesome.
Okay.
That sounds good. And what comes with the cutter?
So depending on, we have bundles and we have just cutters. Most of the cutters come with flying geese, which is about this size, and a mat and instructions. And then you can build from there, or you can buy a bundle where I believe it comes with an 8-inch cube, and we have different bundles that you can do. So if you want to do a cube and then collect some of the other ones, we can do something like that as well. Okay.
And can you use this to make bias binding?
You can. With a 2-inch, I wasn't prepared to show you that. However, there is a great video on AccuQuilt it's just how you fold the fabric that gets you the bias binding, and it is amazing. So yes, there is a video out there on AccuQuilt to show you that.
And Ruth, if somebody wants to learn how to use their AccuQuilt, if they've just bought a new one or if they haven't used it in a while, are there classes or things that help them learn?
Correct. Yes, all of our stores provide classes and usage lessons on the AccuQuilt. So by all means, please go to your local store any one of our stores will help you, and our employees are glad to share their information with you on using your Go cutters.
And how do you maintain your dies?
So there is a pick out there that if you see that there is fabric catching and it's not cutting all the way through, there is a pick that you would actually use to clean out those grooves on both sides of that cutter. And otherwise, that is all you have to do.
Now I've noticed that in the front down here, Ruth, that these dies are all stacked on their side. Is there a reason for that? Is there a reason they're stored that way?
Storing them on their side protects them from the foam coming apart and coming unglued and such. If you lay them flat, you're more likely to get damage and stuff on it. So by storing them on their side, it protects them and it makes it for them a longer life.
And what did the black marks on that die mean?
So you can cut angles with it. Great question. You can do 60, 45, 30, 90. You can make whatever angle you would like with these.
And where are the blades? It looks like it's just foam.
So the blades are inside here. You can see in a crack. I don't want to push on it, but there is a blade right here that is very sharp. And when it goes through, the foam kind of compresses to allow it to cut the fabric for you.
That's all the questions we have right now.
Well, if you have any other questions, feel free to go into your local quality sewing and vacuum store. Our employees are happy to answer any questions, sign you up for classes, and please think of all the different things that you could do with your AccuQuilt Go. They are amazing, and I truly love mine.